This is Elizabeth White, Science, Technology, and Mathematics Librarian. In this video, I will be demonstrating how to cite an academic journal article with the American Chemical Society, or ACS, citation format. So first, let's take a look at an example of an academic journal article that you might want to cite in a research paper. The very first step in your process should be verifying that you do, in fact, have an academic journal article in front of you. The easiest way to do this is to find some information about the publisher. For this article I have in front of me, the name of the publisher is listed near the top center. In this case, it's Marine Pollution Bulletin. Now, sometimes you'll have an academic journal article and the publisher will have the word journal in the title. So that's a pretty easy way to tell right away. But in this case, since we have one that is not, we can click on the title and get a little bit more information to help us determine what type of source we have. In this case, if we scroll a little bit, we can see a section that says Explore Journal Content. So that's a good indication to us that this is actually an academic journal article. Now, if you found an article in a different database and you weren't sure whether or not it was a journal and you didn't have the option to click on it like that, then you can do a quick Google search for the name of the source and see if you can find the publisher's homepage to get an idea about what type of source you have in front of you. So once you've done that, then your next step would be to find the proper formatting that you need to cite a source in ACS style. So to do this, I recommend going to the Cook Library's ACS citation style guide. You can get there just from a direct link. It's towson.libguides.com/ACS style. Or you can get there from the library homepage, which is libraries.towson.edu. Click on the fourth box under the search bar, the one that says Citing Sources. Then ACS style should be the first link that appears on our list of citation guides. In this case, since we are citing an academic journal article, we are going to click on the page linked on the left that is titled Journal Articles. Since we have an online article, we can scroll until we get to that section of the page and then find the formatting that we need. When I'm creating my citations, I like to copy and paste the generic format. So that's this first example here where it just shows you what the formatting looks like and describes what each piece is. But if you prefer to work off of a completed example, feel free to use that one as well. So I'm going to copy this and paste it into a Word document for my reference. When you do copy and paste information like we're doing now, make sure you verify that you're not losing any important information about formatting, which really depends on what your default settings are in your word processor. In this case, I still have my italics and my bolding and all of that good stuff, but it's always good to compare what you have in front of you to what's listed on the guide just to make sure that you didn't lose any information there. You can always go back in and manually put things in italics or add in the bold if you need to, but make sure you're working off of a correct example, and that can save you a lot of potential stress. Then let's pull up that journal article once again, and I'll put it on the screen side by side with my Word document. Now I am going to leave this example at the top of my document just for my reference. I can delete it at the end, but I like having that there so I have everything right in front of me and I don't need to keep clicking between tabs. So the first element of our citation that we need is going to be the author's names. In ACS style, you list author's names as their last name, comma, initials, and you put a semicolon between each author. So if we look at our article on the left, our author's names are listed underneath the title. So I'm going to start with the first one. So I'll do last name, comma, initials. Note that even though the full name of the author is listed, I'm still just going to use the initials because that's what ACS is telling me to do. Then after the first author, I put a semicolon, and then I do last name, comma, first initial, middle initial once again. And then I've got my authors. Don't add in the word and or an ampersand or anything like that. ACS just has you list all of them with semicolons in between, and that is all that you have to do. Then our next step is the title of the article. So I can copy and paste that in. The title is usually the easiest thing to identify, I would say. And then I'm going to keep text only when I paste that in so it doesn't keep the bolding or any other weird formatting. And then the title ends with a period. Now, I do have to make some minor adjustments to this title for ACS formats because ACS requires us to use title case, which means you capitalize all of the important words in the title. So everything except for of, and, or anything like that. What we copied and pasted in is just capitalizing the first word of the title as well as any proper names, so things like Charleston Harbor. So I can manually go in and then just capitalize a few of the other words here. So ones that are not things like and. And depending on where your source is from, you might get lucky and your title could already be in the correct capitalization structure, but it's always good to double check. All right, it looks like I have fixed all of those issues here, so we can move on to the next part of our citation, which is the journal abbreviation. So we mentioned this earlier, the name of this journal is the Marine Pollution Bulletin. However, ACS tells us to use the abbreviated name of each journal instead of typing in the full thing. So for that, we can use something called the CASI tool, which will provide us information about different academic journals, including the proper abbreviations. So I'm going to copy that journal name so I have it handy. Then if I return to our ACS guide, on the journal article page, I have linked to the CASI search tool. You can also get there just by doing a simple Google search for the CASI tool, and it should pop right up. The first time you use it, you might have to accept their terms and conditions, so feel free to do that, and then you should get a screen with a search bar like I have in front of me. Type in your journal name, then hit search. Depending on the name of your journal, it might bring up a list of other journals with similar titles. If that happens to you, just click on the one that's a perfect match for what you typed in. Otherwise, you'll be linked directly to a search result page that looks like this, where you can see the title of your journal is highlighted, and then there should be a box labeled abbreviated title, which has the agreed upon abbreviation for that one. So in this case, Marine Pollution Bulletin becomes mar.pollute.bull. So I will copy that, bring back my Word document, and paste it in. Then you'll note that ACS has us put our journal abbreviation in italics. So I will italicize that and then keep going with my citation. And okay. There we go. So now the next part of the citation is this word online in brackets. Anytime you're citing an electronic journal article, as we are right now, you include that just as is. So bracket, online, bracket. Then the next step is the year. In this case, the year is listed under the journal title. It gives us both a month and a year, but our citation format only requires us to include the year, and we need to put that in bold. Then we have a comma. The comma does not need to be in bold. And then the volume number. So the volume number in this case is right next to our date information. In this case, it's 145. So we include the number 145 and we put that in italics. The next step is the issue number. But you'll notice that some academic journal articles have issue numbers and others don't. It's just really based on their publication model. So if there is an issue number, it should be listed in the same place where you see a volume number. If there isn't one, then you just omit that from your citation. So since we're not seeing an issue number, we are going to go straight from the volume to a comma. So we're leaving out that parentheses stuff completely. And then our last step is the page range. So even if it's an electronic journal article, it is usually going to have a page range for you. So if it's something where you downloaded a PDF from a database, then the page number should be clearly labeled. Or if you're just viewing the article in your browser, like we're doing with this one, the page number will often be listed towards the top. So here I can see it's page 569 to 582. So I can copy that into my citation. And then I end the whole thing with a period. And that's it. Something you might notice about this is that we did not include a URL or a digital object identifier, or DOI. In ACS, you do not have to include that information unless you have a preprint. And if you do have a preprint article, that should be labeled pretty clearly towards the top of the article. If this were a preprint, I would expect to see it kind of in this top box with the information about the title, our DOI, and stuff like that. So only include a URL or a DOI for a preprint. Otherwise, just having this word online in brackets is enough information for your reader to know that you found it electronically. All right, I hope this was a helpful tutorial for you. Please let me know if you have any questions, and I am happy to help you out. Happy citing!